Writing demands purity of attention, but that kind of focus can be hard if we're not clear on what we want to achieve. Goals can be ambiguous or hard to pin down without breaking them down into component parts and distilling them into daily doable actions. Writer Unleashed is for you, a writer who has a story you want to bring onto the page and into the hearts and minds of readers. I'm Nancy Panuccio, writer, editor, and writing coach. And each week, we'll explore techniques, mindsets, and inspiration for writing stories readers can't put down. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let's begin. A writer once asked me help on getting organized, setting up a regular daily work schedule. He wanted advice on how to leave his daily world behind and return quickly back into the moment of the world he was trying to create on the page. So, how do you make writing a priority when you have too many commitments, a career, a job, kids, pets, a significant other? Not to mention all the responsibilities of running a household, which is a full-time job in and of itself. How do you carve out the time, space, energy, and focus to write? We all know writing a book is a colossal commitment, and it's so easy to get off track, especially when so much is competing for our time and our attention. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through some strategies I've used to make the most of my time, my energy, and my focus. This is all about creating habits that can carry you through even if you miss a day or several days even. You can get back on track quickly and smoothly without skipping a beat. So, what do we mean by making writing a priority? This doesn't mean that we neglect things like spending time with our kids, our loved ones, or friends. This isn't about foregoing Netflix or neglecting housework. I mean, an uncluttered house, a clean office, does wonders for productivity. All those things beat our writing. Now, the writers I coach have full-time careers. Some of them own companies, and all of this demands their intellect and their energy. And then when they get home, they have kids to take care of. So they write in pockets of time that they do have, mornings, weekends, and they give me work to review, usually by Sunday night, so that I'm ready to read their pages first thing Monday morning. They've developed really good habits. So let's start with the elephant in the room, the thing we all struggle with to varying degrees. Number one, time. How do you find time to write when you have a job and a family? When you have so many other things competing for your time? Time is the number one pain point for most people. It's stressful and it can lead to overwhelm. It's far too easy to say, I don't have the time. I wish I had more time. Now, I know this is hard because time actually is finite, and a lot of us really don't have a lot of time. We can't really make time, but we can make choices. And it's not all or nothing. It should never be, well, if I don't have 2 hours to write today, what's the point? If I don't have full time to devote to this novel, what's the point? Especially when you're first thinking of starting a novel or a memoir, it's daunting and intimidating. We look at the whole project, we look at the end game, how long the journey is, and we get overwhelmed. We feel anxious. But all you need to do is take the next step. Even if you're pressed for time, can you work on one paragraph in the morning before you go to work? If you have only 20 minutes a day during the week, that adds up. Even if you just start the day looking over the work from the previous day and make minor changes as you read through it, that is progress. Don't overlook the importance of sentence level changes. The more excess you trim, the more clarity you're getting about your story. In episode 187, we talked about bringing goals into more specific, manageable goals. I'll link that episode in the show notes. But here are some ways to get more control over your time. The first thing you always want to ask is, when do you have the most creative momentum? When is your best time of day to write? Or when is your best time of the week to write? When do you feel the most productive? When do you feel the most in flow? Lots of writers I work with write early in the mornings before they get ready for work. Others work best at night. Then they write for a few hours on Saturdays. They often use their weekends to get the most mileage out of their time and energy. They have full-time careers, they have spouses, kids, and pets, and they still get the writing done. Writing demands our full focus, so you want to find the time when you're firing on all cylinders, when you get the most mileage out of the time you have. Time is challenging. It is for everyone I know. But the best way to get a handle on your time so that you can make choices is to do an audit for a week and track where your time actually goes. You want to track what you spend time doing, everything from cooking to commuting to working your 9 to 5, sleeping, scrolling Instagram. You want to see where your time is actually spent and look for those time leaks where you're wasting time or maybe where your time could be better spent. My habit is spending too much time on social media when I wake up. So I grab my phone to check the time and the weather, and before I know it, I'm scrolling Instagram or Facebook, and I can squander a half hour before I even get out of bed, and that's time I could be creating. So rather think of time as 24 hours in a day, which feels more limiting to me at least. You want to think of the hours you have in a week. 168 hours. That feels more abundant. So do a time audit, see where your time is actually going, and look at where you can put more time back into your writing. You can't make time, you can only make choices. Okay, on to number 2, space. Environment is key. James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, a book I highly recommend, thinks motivation is overrated. He believes the key to developing good habits and breaking bad habits boils down to environment and your relationship to it. For years, I had my office in a corner of the living room, and with a toddler running loose, this was not ideal for someone who craves complete solitude. When I lived in a studio apartment in Manhattan, I had my desk in a dedicated corner, and because my apartment faced 2nd Avenue, there were 7 lanes of traffic, ambulances, fire trucks, emergencies all the time, and I was only on the 2nd floor. So I used a sound machine, white noise, or I played classical music to block out the street noise. These days I have an office in my house, but even that isn't foolproof with 2 cats scratching and crying at the door. letting them into the office doesn't work because they love to sit on my keyboard and just get in my space. So I have a stash of snacks that I throw downstairs into the den for them. But really, the only time I can be in my office is when they're asleep. And so I have a laptop set up downstairs so I can work down there in an open space so my cats and I can coexist. And sometimes I just take my laptop and leave the house. I go to a cafe or to the library. Sometimes changing environments can help with our focus and creativity. But at home, dedicating a space to write, ideally a place that doesn't have dual purposes, like the kitchen table or the bedroom, for example, really helps. We have a relationship to certain rooms in our house. For example, my front porch is where I do most of my reading. My office is where I do most of my content creation. It's where I record my podcasts. The corner of my living room is where I set up my laptop for coaching calls. Now, I need absolute solitude and silence. When my teenager's home, there's often music blaring or he's FaceTiming with his girlfriend. My office is between both upstairs bedrooms, so it can be a little noisy. But I have noise-canceling headphones for this. I'm also the kind of writer that benefits from changing environments, so I get super inspired when I travel. So, number 2, space. Okay, on to number 3, energy. You can make all the time you want. You can rise early. You can be at your desk writing. But if you're tired or sluggish, your time probably won't be as well spent, and the quality of your output might suffer. So, self-care is a priority. That means food, sleep, joy, and movement. So let's talk food. I think of food as fuel. I'm very conscious of what kind of food I put into my body because I need sustained energy to do the work I do and be present for my clients and be present for my teenager. So that means lots of greens and vegetables, healthy fats, avocados, olives, hummus, and proteins like quinoa, beans, tempeh, and I stay hydrated. I belong to Chris Carr's Inner Circle Wellness. It's a membership, a monthly membership with nutrition coaching, fitness videos, recipes, and more. The nutrition coach in particular has helped me immensely. She talks about nutrition for better sleep, for more energy, and for different seasons in your life. And then there's movement, which opens the neural pathways. When we're time crunched, this is often the first thing to go. For me, it is at least. But even if it's taking a brisk walk for 10 minutes, or my favorite is to do a 10-minute dance break with DJ Ralph on YouTube. Movement, whatever you choose to do, should not be a drag. It should exhilarate you. It should bring you joy and infuse you with energy. So for you, that might be walking, dancing, hiking, swimming, or cycling. Movement reboots your creative, energetic cache. I know it sounds counterintuitive to make time for physical activity when you're already time pressed, but it does give you more sustained energy in the long run, and it opens the neural pathways. It helps release stress. There's good stress and bad stress. Bad stress is when you're overcome with fear and anxiety about your story, and then you have a negative relationship to it. This could look like perfectionism, where you're never satisfied with what you write, and so you're in a perpetual state of revision. It's never good enough. Good stress is having deadlines. For example, my clients usually send me their work over the weekend so I can start reading it first thing Monday morning for our session on Wednesday or Thursday. Now, they know it's not perfect. It's not supposed to be. You want to avoid the bad stress. So self-care is essential. You also want some white space in your life. In American culture, it's go, 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 go. I see it in my teens' high school, especially with certain teachers. They want to cram everything in right up to the bell. And then there's homework. Lots of the kids go to work after school. Others have sports and they're getting home at 10 o'clock at night. You need to protect your energy. You need to replenish it. Now, I don't believe in eliminating small pleasures like Netflix or Instagram scrolling. You just want to defer those from when you're too fried to do anything creative. I do this at the end of the day. I watch Netflix to wind down after I'm settled for the night. And when I need a rest, I will go on Instagram. But I don't get stuck there. I just don't believe in cramming everything you can in a day. That's depleting and self-defeating. Sometimes we just need to recharge our batteries. Maybe your commute at the end of the day is your time to just rest your mind so that it's clear and energized for the next time you return to your pages. So think of making energy deposits rather than energy withdrawals. Pay attention to what you're eating. Make sure you're getting enough physical movement throughout the day, and prioritize sleep. Okay, on to number 4, focus. Focus is challenging, especially when you have limited time and you're spinning multiple plates. And the thing is, we're bombarded by distractions like we've never been before. Writing demands purity of attention, but that kind of focus can be hard if we're not clear on what we want to achieve. Goals can be ambiguous or hard to pin down without breaking them down into component parts and distilling them into daily doable actions. We talked about this in episode 187. It's not all or nothing, so taking small actions on a regular basis adds up. Now, I use a full focus planner. I swear by this planner. It's different from other planners. Each planner covers 1/4 of the year, so it's not for the whole year. You use a different planner for each quarter, but you can start at any time. Unlike other planners, it isn't dated, so you get to plug in the dates. It's not just work goals, but life goals, creative goals, health goals. You start with your annual goals, let's say complete revision on your novel. Then you break that annual goal into more detail. Next steps you need to focus on. For example, step 1, narrative outline. Step 2, rewrite. Step 3, revise scene by scene. Step 4, structure. Another annual goal that you might detail next steps for is, let's say, lose 20 pounds. So your next steps might be hire a weight loss coach. Take a walk outside for 15 minutes after dinner on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So you have your annual goals, and then you have your daily goals. You start with your daily big 3. So narrowing down your daily goals to the 3 main tasks that you need to focus on helps you know that no matter what else gets done, this is the one that you need to accomplish at the end of the day. Now, your big 3 might be work-related. For example, my Monday big 3 is reading client work, scheduling podcast episodes and finalizing all the back-end tasks, drafting emails to my subscribers. Those are usually my big 3 on Monday. But there's also space for other tasks. So other tasks might be preparing for 30-minute complimentary Zoom sessions, which I hold on Mondays and Tuesdays. It might be responding to emails or answering questions in the Writer Unleashed community page. So there's plenty of room for other tasks. Additional tasks could be make dinner reservations for Saturday or food shop, call the mechanic to schedule the oil change, clean out the mudroom, plan Kaz's graduation trip. So the other task column has enough room for a very realistic amount of work that I feel I can accomplish in one day. But I love having it all on paper in an organized way. And then you have a whole page for notes. So the other half of every daily spread is one dedicated notes page. I use this to take notes on meetings with new clients. Sometimes I outline a podcast episode or just notes on other reminders that don't really fit anywhere else. So Full Focus Planner, I highly recommend it. I'll link to it in the show notes. Okay, let's recap. To make writing a priority when you have a job, a career, and a family, number one, time. Get clear on where your time is going. Do a time audit so you can make more empowered choices about how you spend it. Remember, even looking over your last session's writing and tightening up a paragraph before you go to work is progress. Number two, dedicated space. Environment plays a part in motivation. Number three, energy. What you eat, drink, how you move, and sleep all contribute to energy. You can write more and better when you have energy. It's more important than time, in my opinion. And number four, focus. Limit distractions, but don't get overwhelmed with the end result or the journey ahead. Just focus on the next best step. So there you have it. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And if you know any writers who need some support in their writing, please share this episode or the Writer Unleashed podcast in general. And if you love what you're listening to, subscribe on your favorite listening platform and please leave me a review. Reading how this podcast impacts your writing truly lights me up and helps me create topics for the show. Till next time, keep writing, and I'll talk to you soon.